Hey, what's up, guys? This is David Kim with Algos Explained, and this video is going to be not one of me solving a question, but of me creating a question. And this was a request from one of our viewers here, and I guess he was running into some problems, so I thought he asked me to make a video about it, and so here it goes. If you go on Code War, sorry, if you just go up to kind of your profile picture up here, you have this drop down, and all you have to do is press new kata. That means new question. And I pressed on that new kumai just to see what the heck it was, and it seemed like they were trying to push like some kind of um, user versus user, like a PvP type of thing here. But the question or the topic we're going to go over today is how to create a new question. And so, I mean, if you're interested in that, go ahead and take a look at it. But today we're going to be making a new problem, which is new kata. So I clicked on that, and we're taken over here to our Kata editor. And it looks like they have some screens here for us. Welcome to the Kata editor. You can select which category of kata you want to create here. Hover over each choice to get a short description. This looked like it was not an option. I think that's a bad design on their part. It should be black. But anyways, let's skip all that. And we will go ahead and click, or we'll keep it at fundamentals. I'm not planning on making a very difficult one, just a regular one. And we will be doing it in JavaScript. And it looks as if you can definitely choose whatever else languages you want here. But yeah, as always, we're going to just do JavaScript. And so I created one already. Well, I didn't create it, but I had one in mind just to make sure that this video went as smoothly as possible. And so this one we're going to do is we're going to call it string of numbers. And it's going to be really simple. Pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to ask for the user to create a function that will take two arguments, and then we just return a string of all the numbers in between those two numbers that we give them. And so I'm going to just go ahead and copy and paste what I have written, and in the description I just write this. This is what they're going to be seeing kind of on this left side later on when they do solve the problem. Remember how on the left side there's the direction, and on the right side there's the space for them to write code. And so we wrote, given the arguments of two numbers, return a string of numbers between them exclusive. Uh, they, the output should be a string of increasing numbers. Return an empty string if there are no numbers. Wow, I'm glad I'm proofreading this. Return an empty string if there are no numbers in between. If there are no numbers in between. Okay, cool. I always read these, and there are some people with wacky grammar, and I am one of them. I guess what they don't do is proofread it. I'm lucky that I'm making this video, and it has given me the chance to proofread it. This is pretty much the preview of it. Um, oh, you get to use Markdown here, just how in GitHub you can use Markdown. But we're not going to be using any of that. We're going to just give them a straight couple of directions, and I'm just going to hopefully I'm expecting them to look at the test cases if they are curious about kind of more directions on what to do. I feel as if I was pretty explicit, though. Given two numbers, we're going to have to return a string, so that's going to be our output, or that's going to be their output. And exclusive, meaning the numbers that are the arguments given, they should not be part of the string that is going to be returned. The output should be a string of increasing numbers, which means despite which order the two numbers are in, we want them to give us in increasing numbers. Like whether it was 0 and 2 or 0 and 5. If it was 0 and 5, we want them to give us 1, 2, 3, 4. If it was 5 and 0, we still want them to give us 1, 2, 3, 4. And lastly, return an empty string if there are no numbers in between. So if it's a 0, 0, if those are two arguments, then definitely no numbers in between. And so we're going to be expecting them to give us an empty string. And likewise, if it is just like a 0 and a 1, well, this is exclusive, so there's going to be no numbers in between. We're not going to do decimals. Maybe I should write in here whole numbers, string of whole numbers between them. Maybe that'll help. Surely someone would ask that question or kind of scratch their head about that before solving it. Okay, cool. So we're going to be doing this in JavaScript like we already mentioned, and it looks as if so far we created the name, we chose which one it is. Estimated rank. I believe that is pretty easy. Some tag, let's give it like, I don't know, numbers, strings, string, print, count, something like that. And we'll just leave that there. You could choose a different version of Node if you want, but I'm just going to leave that, and I'm going to leave that at JavaScript. And what we're going to do is, I'm not sure what these are. Let's see. This is where you will code a complete working solution. This is the initial code that a user will see when taking it. Okay. This is an optional set of code that will be executed before the user solution within the execution order. Okay, in case maybe I need to inject something. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with the complete solution, and that's going to be, let's see, let's call this, what are we, string of numbers, so str of nums, and we're going to give them num1 and num2. Yep. Okay, cool, and so we're going to have that, and let's go ahead and let that be kind of what they see. Remember, initial solution here is going to be what they have on their screen before they even start it, and we definitely need to put this in there because otherwise they won't know what to name their actually they will know what to name their function because we'll have example test cases here, but otherwise, I mean, everybody does it. Code here, but yeah, let's leave it at there. Code here. Okay, cool. So now in this section we create our own solution, and just before we start that, preloaded, we're not going to be doing that just because I feel like there's no need for this simple question to load anything before they run their code. Yeah, cool. And so we kind of walked through the description that I wrote here before, and so let's go ahead and get started. And a couple things that we do know is that at the output of it is going to be a string, so let str, we're going to make that a string, and we're going to return that at the very end. And we do know that we're going to be going from one number to the next number, so we're going to have a for loop somewhere. But before we do that, we need to kind of understand, remember, a for loop goes from one number to the end, and it kind of relies on whether it's being incremented or decremented. If you think of a for loop, it usually starts with setting the I to 0 or some number, having a condition as a second case, just to check, okay, should I loop again? And the third thing a for loop takes is kind of the incrementer. Whether you're incrementing it by 1, usually with I++ or something else. You could also do minus minus, and that's how you use a for loop to go backwards. But for this question, it's already stated that we want it to be increasing, and so we do want it to go up, but it's not guaranteed whether num1 or num2, or it's not guaranteed that num1 will be smaller, and it's not guaranteed that num2 will be smaller. So we need to figure that out, and we need to kind of make that our own. We can't leave it to chance for our for loop to kind of go from num1 to num2 because, hey, what if that's the bigger number? Then the for loop will never run. And so let's go ahead and get that settled. So we will call, we'll do let lower equals, and what we'll do is we're going to do a ternary statement here. Num1 is less than num2. And if it is, then num1 will equal lower, and if not, num2 will equal lower. And before I explain that, let me just do the higher. Maybe you'll get a, if you miss kind of the understanding of a ternary. Higher equals, and now this is a ternary, does lower equal num1? And if it does, then we want num2 to be higher. If not, num1 will be the higher variable. And so let's go over here and just walk through this really quickly. I know this is more of a video for making a kata on Code Wars, but let me go ahead and just go over this real quick. And so lower, how a ternary works is we have a kind of something over here on the left side which will equal the result of the ternary, and ternary is this guy right here. We have a condition, num1 is less than num2, and if that is true, That's kind of the condition separated by the question mark. If num1 is indeed less than num2, num1 will be the lower. If it is false, if this condition is false, then num2 will be the output of this ternary statement. Therefore, whether or not this is true or not, it will decide what lower is set to. Whether if it is true, it will be set to num1. If this condition is false, lower will be set to num2. And likewise here, once again, higher is going to be set to something. The output of this ternary statement is lower equal to num1. And if it is, num2 will be higher. If it's not equal to num1, which would mean lower is num2, we want num2, oh wait, no. If lower is equal to num1, then we want, oh okay, no wonder. I set both of these to num2. Okay, again, if lower is equal to num1, that means that, of course, num1 is already lower, so we want num2 to be higher. If lower is not num1, then we're going to want num1 to be the higher one. So let's go ahead and get moving to our for loop. And we're going to do let I equals, and we're going to go, remember we're going to be increasing, so we are going to be going from the lower to the higher. And you might have caught this, but lower plus 1, simply because we want this to be exclusive. Remember that when we were given 0 and 5, we don't want 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We want 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want the 0, we don't want the 5, so we need to kind of make sure we're not adding that to our string. And so after that, all we need to do is plus equals I. And that will automatically turn this we're adding a string and a number, that's going to turn into a string, and we're going to be given that ending over here. We don't have to worry about if the string is equal to 1 at this point and the next thing we're adding it to is 2, is that going to change to a 3? No, that won't. It's going to be, it's going to look like a 13 in a string form, pretty much, because we're going to have a string of 1 and a number of 3 or number of 2. And if we add that, it's going to be 12, something like that. We'll see in these test cases. But that is pretty much that's done over there. And let's go ahead and I guess no real need to go over these too much. Here's some test cases that I created. 0 and 2, if we're given that, our output's going to be 1. We want only the numbers in between exclusive. We don't want the 0, we don't want the 2. If we were given a -5 and a 0, that's still kind of the lower, and then the higher. We want a -4, -3, -2, -1. And if we're given numbers that kind of don't have anything in between, an empty string, if they are kind of not in the typical lower number and higher number format, we have the higher number first and lower number second. Pretty much if they didn't do this kind of setting, the lower and higher, then they wouldn't get this. We are still going from the 2 to the 10 despite what order these guys are in, whether this guy is num1 or that guy is num1. Same thing here, but making sure it works with the negatives too. The higher is the first argument this time, the lower is the second, and we want a -1. And so that's the example test cases. This is what the user will see. And test cases here is kind of what they will what will be running once they click on kind of submit or something like that, or validate. I know some of these people have like hundreds of these test cases, but I didn't want to do that. So I just added a couple more just to make sure that it was still working. And you can make sure it's still working by clicking validate solution. And that happens there. Not sure what this is. Let's check it out. Insert example. Oh. No. Wait. You are about to replace your current code with example code. Are you sure you want to discard your changes? No. Example code. Are you talking about this? Let's just copy that. Let's save that. And see what that button does. Yes. Okay. Oh. Okay. Alright. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just give that to everybody. Add values code words to the website's arrays. Yeah, no idea why they do that, but let's put ours back in there. Oh, that one also changed, which would be pretty much that. And or just one of those. Code here. Preloaded, nothing there. Help is, oh, I guess maybe if there are more questions after this video, maybe this will help. I don't know. Let's go ahead. I didn't get past this part on my own yet, just because I didn't want to burn this question. I'm pretty sure there are millions of these same questions though. And let's see what happens when we click a different thing. Okay, and let's just see if this stays. In case you're interested in making test cases for multiple languages. Crystal, let's see if these stay. I'm going to have to go ahead and delete these afterwards. So we did something for C++, we did something for JavaScript. Okay, cool. So I'm guessing, since I don't have like legit things for these other languages, I'm guessing that maybe this kata that I'm creating won't be available for these other languages. You know how katas are usually kind of you know what? Maybe that's where the contributors come in. I do something for JavaScript. Someone who's good at Crystal can come and create the same thing for Crystal. I think that'd be kind of cool. But anyways, we were at JavaScript, and we have that. That looks good. String of nums. Oh yeah, and I did not. Oh, test cases. Our test cases have changed. All right, cool. And so let's see, test.assert equals, and that was just pretty standard. At first I just did like a string of nums equal to something like that, and it didn't work out. And so what I did was I went to a past kata that I solved and I looked at how they did it. If they did it in this format, I just copied them. I wrote my function on this side, a comma, and kind of the output. If you've used this test suite before, you would be familiar with it. And we definitely don't have to kind of load any libraries. Don't have to worry about doing the preloaded or trying to load something here because this, I think, is built in. But we shall see in just a second. Let me revalidate that. Make sure that passes examples. And let's go ahead and try to publish this guy. Well, let's save that. All right. And publish. Cool. Wait. Yeah. Sweet. Do I get a link for this? I don't think so. Unpublish, delete, reset, republish, Kata editor, string of numbers. Let's go ahead and see if we can find it. But I don't think we can. Oh, no, maybe we can. String of numbers. Let's go ahead and see. 44 found. This was level 8. String of numbers. Okay. Wait, what's going on? String of numbers. Oops, I spelled numbers wrong. Well, it looks like it didn't post yet, but I think that it should be there. Is there a way to look at my katas? Kata. Beta. Okay. Well, I authored this, and it's in beta status, so testing and feedback needed. Okay, cool. So once you create a problem or a kata for Code Wars, it looks like this is kind of the status that it'll go into. And I think that brings us to the end of this video. There's nothing more to explain here. It looks like I just need to wait for someone to kind of proofread this. It's been completed once, maybe by me, probably by me. But yeah, so hopefully that solved the questions. I know the one viewer that had messaged me said he ran into some problems, but unfortunately, I was not able to run into problems. Chances are, maybe you're using a different language. I don't know, but the only little hiccup that I ran into was the whole kind of setting the testing. setting this part over here. This everything seemed kind of self-explanatory, so hopefully, if it was this, maybe your question is already answered now, or perhaps maybe you already solved it. But I feel like it was a great idea for a video, so thank you for that. Um, yeah, I believe you can maybe you can use other kind of testing on this. I'm not too sure. I just know this works, so that's what I decided to use. And so, yeah, if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. And um, I don't think this is going to be part of any series, but I do have Code War series going on. It's all in JavaScript, and I just solve algorithm questions. And so, if you're kind of interested in that, go ahead and check out my other videos. And right now it's December, it's almost Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everybody, and Happy Holidays. Have a good one.